الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. We continue the Sira of the Prophet ﷺ. Today is the 28th days of Ramadan. So we left it off yesterday when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed to the Prophet ﷺ that this ummah shall pray 5 times a day while getting the reward of 50 prayers, because originally it was supposed to be 50 prayers. So the number was reduced to 5, but the reward remained at 50 because of Allah's generosity and mercy. Also, some scholars said that before this night journey, by the way, Isra means night journey. وَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ لَيْلًا. In the Quran, Allah says, Lot alayhi salam, take your family members by night. So Isra is actually at night, but it's actually more reinforced by Allah saying, Subhanallah asra bi abdihi laylan. Glory be to the one who made Isra with his slave by night. So this happened at night. So Isra meaning travel at night. Okay, Isra means to travel at night. Asri bi ahlika laylan. The command was given to Lut alayhi salam. Also, some scholars said that before this journey, Jibreel alayhi salam once again did the heart operation for the Prophet salam. He took out his heart, he washed it with the water of Zamzam, and he filled it with wisdom and faith, put it back, and then stitched the Prophet salam. And these are actually physical operations because the scar was there. Okay, so this isn't something that's like those magic wands. No, this is an actual operation that took place, and the scar remained on the Prophet salam, as Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu said. And we also said that it was presented with milk and wine. He drank milk. The Prophet ﷺ also in Jannah, because in the Isra, he spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah spoke to him without interpreter, without middleman. And in addition to that, he was taken to see some places in Jannah and in Hellfire. So he saw 2 rivers in Jannah. One of them is the Nile River. The other is the Euphrates River. So the Euphrates River in Iraq, the Nile River in Egypt. These are from among the rivers of Jannah. Okay, so there are 4 rivers in Jannah. These are 2 of them, and there are 2 other hidden rivers in Jannah. Also, he alayhi salatu salam saw Malik, the gatekeeper of hellfire, who had a cheerless, frowning face. So Malik, وَقَالُوا يَا مَالِكُ ادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ يُخَفِّفْ عَنَّا يَوْمًا مِنَ الْعَذَابِ. So in the Quran, Malik is the name of the angel that's the gatekeeper of hellfire. We seek refuge with Allah from it. And then he, alayhi salam, saw paradise and saw the fire. So in hellfire he saw, because hellfire and paradise, they do exist today, okay, according to the correct scholarly opinions. Also, there is also punishment in the grave, and also people of Jannah, they are also being taken twice a day to Jannah every day for them to taste the beauty of Jannah. And the people that are punished in the grave are taken twice a day. النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا, in the morning and the afternoon, like Allah specifically says about the people of Fir'aun, so that they can be punished twice a day. This is punishment of the grave. So basically, they are in their graves, but they are taken twice a day for punishment, or for basically enjoying the things of Jannah. This is for the normal believers. But for the martyrs, the enjoyment is eternal. It's there, because as soon as a martyr dies, his soul gets taken up by a green bird in Jannah. Okay? And then that green bird goes wherever it wants in a Jannah and eats from the fruits. So basically the soul is what benefits from this enjoyment. Just like, for example, today in this world. In this world, it's the body that enjoys something and the soul follows it. So when you drink something good, that feeling that you have, like, that's your soul that's actually enjoying that. But the conduit for your soul to enjoy in this world is the body. So as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says, he says, in this world, the body feels the the enjoyment and the pain, and the soul follows. Okay, in this world. In the hereafter, it's actually the soul that feels the enjoyment and the body follows that. In the grave, it's actually both the soul and the fire that feel the punishment and the enjoyment. Okay, so the people in hellfire, actually people of the hellfire who are being punished in the grave, they are exposed to hellfire twice a day, as we mentioned in the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the people of Fir'aun, النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم تقوم الساعة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. So in the grave, twice a day, morning and afternoon, they're going to be punished. And as we will see that they're actually, it's Fir'aun and his soldiers. That means the tens or hundreds of thousands of soldiers that he had with him, they go there and actually they're going to trample on some of the people, as we will see in hellfire. So in other words, the grave is the first station of the hereafter. Either it's one of the abodes of Jannah or one of the holes of the hellfire. Now a person is going to say, hang on a second. When we bury a person, if he's not a very pious person, or if he's not a messenger, his body's going to decay. His body's going to decay as far as we can see. This is beyond the barzakh, the barrier that's between the dead and the live ones. The live ones is called barzakh. وَمِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ barzakh. It's actually barrier. So that barrier, we live on this side of the barrier. So whatever we see, the grave, the bones, etc., it's on this side. But what's happening on the other side is something we don't see. So on the other side, people are being punished with their own, physically, with their own bodies. People are being punished with their own souls. You understand? So a person cannot say, well, how come, when I open the grave, I only find this small bone that usually left over from the spinal cord. And you tell me that he's being punished in his body. What you are seeing is in this world. We're talking about the barzakh. It's actually on the other side of the wall. Okay? So therefore, people in their graves are either being, are either enjoying, or either they are in punishment based on their status in this world. So he ﷺ saw those who consume the property of orphans unjustly. They have snouts similar for those of camels. So the Prophet ﷺ actually saw these people being punished, and they were swallowing red hot stones, like burning stones, and then issuing them from their backs, because they're used to consume the orphan's wealth unlawfully in this world. So they're taking care of an orphan, and they're eating up his money. Now if a person is taking care of an orphan and he is poor, then he's able to take just what he needs for the money for the orphan, as Allah says in chapter 4. But if he's rich, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's better for him to not take any money. But some people, they actually take the orphan and they take all of his wealth. It becomes theirs. These people, as we said, they'll swallow red hot stones. There were also the people who take interest and usury. They had bellies too big to be able to move around. People that deal with interest. This is their punishment. And they are trodden by the people of Fir'aun when these are admitted into hell for the punishment, as we said. These people that eat interest, usually, they have so big bellies they can't even move. So you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of soldiers that are coming to be punished in hellfire, and they actually trample on them. They cannot move. Why? Because they used to eat usury. Eating meaning, you eat or you pay, right? Willingly. You understand? So, as Prophet ﷺ said, he cursed three things in interest taking: the one who takes, the one who gives, and the one who basically witnesses the act of usury. Like, if you're buying a house, through a notary or something, he's the one considered that he's witnessing that unlawful transaction. He also, ﷺ, saw the adulterers, people that commit zina. May Allah raise your rank. They see them being offered the fatty meat and the rotten, smelly meat. And they would choose the rotten, smelly meat. Because in this world, Allah gave them marriage, which is halal. But they chose the evil one. I mean, just imagine the one the person commits zina with. How many people did she commit zina with? I mean, isn't this repulsive to a normal human person? It's repulsive. Also, the women that used to commit zina in this world, the Prophet ﷺ saw them hanging from their breasts. Okay, they were hanging from their breasts as a punishment for them, because many women, they lure men for the sake of money so that they can commit zina with them. Okay, so that's their just punishment. Also, the night journey raised a good deal of stir among the people of Quraysh. Back to this earth, okay? Forget now about those punishments. We ask Allah to save us from them. It's scary, but it's true. And of course, there are some deviant sects like the Mu'tazila that deny that the punishment of the graves even happens, etc. But again, as the Prophet ﷺ said, this ummah is going to be divided into 73 sects. All of them are in the hellfire, at least temporarily, except one, and that's the one that's following the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. مَا أَنَا عَلَيْهِ وَأَصْحَابِي. Okay? The other deviant sects, their deviance is either small or big. Some of them, their deviance goes all the way to polytheism, and others, their deviance is just in some practices. So they're married to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if they still have tawheed, they don't commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ultimately, even if they enter the hellfire, they will come out of it. So the disbelievers, when they heard about the Isra and Mi'raj, they said, this is impossible, this guy's a liar. So Abu Jahl went to Muhammad and asked him. He told him what happened. So Abu Jahl told him, I'm going to bring people so that you can tell them these things. You're able to tell people these things? Because he wants to bring people to him so that they can laugh at him. Because it's impossible. How can you go from Mecca all the way to Jerusalem and back up to heaven and back in one night? Of course, normal human beings don't believe that, except if you have faith. So he gathered the people, and he ﷺ told them what happened. He also told them the details about some caravans of Quraysh that were coming back from Sham. He even told them that I drank from the water of such and such caravan. Because when the caravan came back, they said, yeah, it's true. One morning we woke up and we found there was no water. He also, they told him, describe to us Jerusalem. Because he ﷺ never went to Bayt al-Maqdis. So he ﷺ started describing it to them. And then he got confused a little bit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Jerusalem appear in front of Prophet ﷺ, and he was actually describing it while he was seeing it. So this is from the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Muhammad ﷺ. Now of course there were some Muslims who had weak faith. When they heard that, they apostated. When they heard this, they apostated because they had weak faith. And some of them even remained as disbelievers until they were killed in the battle of Uhud. We seek refuge with Allah from apostasy. As far as Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, they came to him. Abu Jahl came to him. Don't you hear what your friend is saying? What did he say? He said such and such. Do you believe him? He said, of course I believe him. This is why he got the nickname of Siddiq. He said, I believe him in what's even stranger and more important than this. He said, what is it? He said, he tells us that Allah is revealing Quran to him. Which one is actually more important? The revelation of the Quran, or actually a person making shirk and coming back? So he said, of course I believe him in the wahi that comes to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not going to believe when he tells me he went on this night journey. I mean, we know miracles actually happen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do everything. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he takes Prophet ﷺ in this night journey for many reasons. Number one, as we said, his two life supports had just gone away. Abu Talib, his uncle, and his wife Khadija. Okay, so he was very sad because of these two losses. This is the first reason. Number two is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always shows his messengers these like the true miracles, so that they are very firm in faith, and even if they are being tortured, they cannot deviate from faith because they have seen with their own eyes the actual miracle and the actual greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ. As such, we show Ibrahim alayhi salam the kingdom of the heavens and earth, so that he is very firm in his faith. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لِنُرِيَهُ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا. Allah took him on night journey so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw heaven, saw hellfire, so the other prophets saw angel. Is he going to have any doubt in this religion? Of course not. So whatever happens to him, he's going to be steadfast. Because for us who believe in the unseen, right? Because we believe sometimes under torture, under a lot of pressure, you're going to start asking yourself, all this conviction, is it true or is it just made up? I mean, shaitan comes to you like that sometimes, right? But if you have seen it with your eyes, no, hang on, I've seen it with my own eyes. So religion aside, for example, someone comes to you and says, "Oh, look, here I am. For example, I went to Kaaba, and here I took a picture." It's not something that you're supposed to do, but just for sake of examples. And then someone comes and is like, no, that person never went to Kaaba. I said, no, I saw with my own eyes that he went to Kaaba. Right? So when you see with your own eyes, even if a person comes and tells you that didn't happen, you are sure about the event happening. Anyway, for the Kaaba and pictures, that can be manipulated, but like I said, it's just a silly example. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ. Thus we show Ibrahim alayhi salam the kingdom of heaven and the earth, so that he is one of those who have faith with certainty. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam, لِنُرِيَكَ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى, so that we may show you some of our great signs. As we know, the staff of Musa alayhi salam, the hand that shines like a light bulb without it having any sickness. What else? Also the fact that when he gets scared, وَضْمُمْ إِلَيْكَ جَنَاحَكَ مِنَ الرَّهْبِ, he puts his hands like this under his, like this, so he doesn't feel scared. Because he's in front of Fir'aun, it's normal for human beings to feel scared, right? فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى. Allah tells us that Musa alayhi salam did feel some fear, right, when he saw the magic of the people. So we are human beings, even prophets are human beings, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches them and prepares them for the greatness of the message that they are going to carry. Okay, now in the Prophet ﷺ, after seeing Allah's signs, will establish their faith on the solid certainty that he's going to be too immune to leave the religion because he saw everything with his own eyes. Now, Shaykh, may Allah have mercy on him, is bringing a very interesting detail. He said, why did this night journey happen? And why to Jerusalem? Why to Jerusalem? Why not to Medina or to some other place? He's saying that this night journey was an indication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that there's going to be a shift from the shift in leadership of mankind. There's going to be a shift in leadership of mankind from the Jews and the Christians, who regard Jerusalem as a holy place, to the Muslims, who regard the Kaaba as a holy place. In other words, it is the sunnah of replacement. The sunnah of replacement. This is in the Quran. In two places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. If you turn your back on this religion, Allah will change you with other people. You're not going to harm the religion. We have to understand that. Some Muslims, they think by following the Western way of life, and they think they're actually going to harm Islam, and Islam is going to go away. Impossible. They are the ones who are going to go away. Allah is going to replace them by other people. Let me give you one of my favorite examples. The Saudis uncovered their women. The Taliban covered them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaced those by those. It's the religion of Allah. It doesn't matter what you do. You're never going to harm this religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically was shifting leadership of mankind to the Muslims from the Jews because of their crimes. Because of the crimes of the Jews. Now, we have spoken a lot about the Jews. Some people may think, why are you being unfair to the Jews? We're not being unfair to them. Let's go back to the Quran. And actually what's mentioned in the Quran is also mentioned in their Talmud and in their books. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first of all says about the Jews, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَيَبْعَثَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ مَنْ يَسُومُهُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. Allah has decreed that until the day of judgment, there is always going to be someone who's going to make the Jews suffer. This is in the Quran. Nobody can change it. Surah Al-A'raf. And since the year 1200 BC until around the year 2014, the Jews were expelled from about 1,030 places that they inhabited. 1,030 places. Why is that the case? I'll go back to the Quran where Allah explains why Allah cursed them and why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing them. But before doing that, We'll talk about the year 2024. Okay? The Jews are aggressors and act like they're victims. So they're occupying Palestine, killing Palestinian babies, and they're saying that we are defending ourselves. So not only do they reject the truth, they act like they are victims. And if anyone wants to speak the truth, if you are from Europe, they invoke the Holocaust, which is basically the biggest lie of the 21st century. There were no 6 million Jews to be killed, but they inflated the numbers so that they can make the world shy into submitting to whatever evil they want to do to the Palestinians. And if you are not in Europe, they invoke anti-Semitism. Well, if you tell them the truth, it's not anti-Semitism, right? The world is seeing with our own eyes today, right? 6 months of killing, destruction, rape, prisoners, they tie the shackles on them so much to the point that one of their doctors recently came out and saying this is inhumane. Now they have to cut their legs. They tied the shackles so much that the legs, basically there was no more blood flowing to the legs, the feet. So they had to amputate the feet. And they're talking about Geneva Conventions of treatment of prisoners, etc. So these are one things, but what they do is something else. So for them, they're always the victim. Even if they're the ones who are killing you, it's your fault. Why? You happen to be here. All right? They say that all non-Jews are animals. Not only the Muslims, by the way, all the Gentiles, even Christians and everything. And they actually stated that openly. You know, I think it was Gallant, the defense minister, told them that the Palestinians, they're just animals. You know, you can just kill them. The former advisor of Obama, in a very famous video that was circulating, he went to an Egyptian food seller in New York, and he specifically told them, we killed 4,000 Palestinian babies, we should have done more. You've seen that video? When he was telling him, oh, I'm gonna send you back to Egypt. Do you like your fingernails? They're gonna take out your fingernails. Are they gonna take your father to jail? So this guy's supposed to be an American, right? And he's telling that, and he was on video. He was on video. So he told him we killed 4,000 babies, and that wasn't enough. Okay. So basically, as Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, what were the Jews cursed? In their books, by the way, before our books, you have to understand that. You know, Allah is only relating to us what they did. And before we say why they were cursed, why were they preferred in the first place? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, وَلَقَدْ اخْتَرْنَاهُمْ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah preferred the Jews over the rest of mankind in their time because they were the first people to wage jihad. The Jews were the first people to wage jihad. In the famous story of them being with Musa alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam ordering them to attack Jerusalem, that was the first time jihad was waged. Before them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always destroyed the evildoers. He destroyed Fir'aun, and before him he destroyed Ad, he destroyed Thamud, he destroyed Qawm Lut. So the Jews were the first ones to wage jihad. And that's why Allah preferred them at the time. But because of their transgression, because they killed prophets, because they say Isa alayhi salam is a son of fornication, because they say the Virgin Mary committed fornication and that's how she became pregnant, because they dealt in usury, which is interest, and there's also a very famous book by Shakespeare and also a play, I think, called The Merchant of Venice, because even the Christians did not use interest before. It may be as a shock to you. Christians started using interest in the 16th century. You have to understand that it's haram also for them. Interest is haram for all the religions, by the way. But the Jews, they say it's only haram among us because we are the chosen ones. But we can use interest with non-Jews. But interest is haram for everyone. Don't think, we Muslims are singled out for this with this injunction. Also the Christians is haram for them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُم. The covenant they had with Allah broken. What's the covenant? You obey Allah, He will support you against your enemies. And you will live a beautiful life. Because this is why do we say that we need to spread Islam? We don't want to spread Islam because we want to take people's wealth. No, actually if a person becomes a Muslim, a country becomes a Muslim, they keep everything that belongs to them. But when they become Muslim and they establish Sharia, they live a true, beautiful life in this world. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ. Truly, when you use Allah's law, you're going to have a beautiful life, the life of bodies and souls. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَ ضَنْكَ. If you don't use Allah's law for judgment, you're living like animals in any society. For example, you go to Muslim societies, a person, he takes a huge knife and he tells you, give me your phone, I'm going to kill you. And if he gets caught, he goes to jail for 2 months. In Islam, this person is going to be executed. So if he knows that he's going to be executed, he's not going to do that. So you, as a member of a society, a God-fearing, a law-abiding citizen, you're not going to be against Allah's law. Why? Because you're not the type of person that steals or attacks people. So why would you mind? And this person who attacks people, he's going to think twice. He's going to say, hang on a second. If I attack, I'm going to be killed, so I'm not going to do it. But if you know he's going to go to jail for a month or two, it's like, who cares? I go, I eat for free, have a vacation there, sell drugs, come back, and then do something else. This is what's happening in Muslim countries that don't, all of them don't rule according to Allah's law. Because ruling according to Allah's law is for our own benefit. Okay? فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ وَكُفْرِهِمْ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. Every messenger they came, they killed them. They killed 300 messengers. Isa alayhi salam was the last one they tried to kill. And that's why the Christians, they have been persecuting them for centuries, until the movement of Martin Luther, the Protestant movement in Germany in the 1800s, basically defended the Jews, and that's when the Christians allowed the Jews to assimilate into their societies. Also, أخذهم الربا, using interest, even though Allah made it haram on them. وأكلهم أموال الناس بالباطل, taking people's money unlawfully. Okay, and so on, and so on, and so on. So basically, this was to show that as Muslims we have to understand, we don't have a contract, a permanent contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as you obey Allah, He will support you. If you disobey Allah, you get punished. And this is what's happening to the Ummah today. The Ummah for the past 100 years is being punished because of our going away from Islam. So this is my last lesson in this Ramadan, inshallah. Ask Allah, it's not the last lesson ever. But the advice I want to give myself and every one of my brothers and sisters, and make sure you spread this message, is that we have to go back to the true religion that the Prophet ﷺ and the companions came with. Because what made them leaders of mankind is what will make us leaders of mankind. Don't believe in the nonsense you hear about democracy, hypocrisy, human rights, Geneva Conventions, these things that are made to impose them on Muslims, but the non-Muslims don't abide by these things. So disbelieve in everything other than the Quran and the Sunnah. This thinker said that thinker said that. Let him think to himself, him and his shaitan. Me, the only thinker I listen to is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. So we have to go back to just my message. Go back to the religion. Raise our children on this. Be proud of being a Muslim. Don't be coy, don't be shy. Okay? And make sure that you're always on the true path, and gather with the Muslims for support. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept every single deed we did in this Ramadan, and forgive every sin that we did in this Ramadan. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we meet again next year. Jazakumullahu khairan for your patience, my dear brothers.